D with Modesty Matters. We're a business dedicated to providing products for modest-minded families. Today I have the privilege of teaching you how to make two of our 18-inch doll patterns. The bodices are exactly the same. That's the top part and the sleeves. And then when we get to the skirt, I'll variate and I'll teach you the two separate skirts. The first thing you're going to need to do is take out or print out your pattern. Here is our skirt pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to print out like that. And you will take them and you'll need to line them up like this. And the reason we have our little Modest Sue and our words all over the pattern is so that you can see to line them up. And then you'll tape them together. Okay, I can see right through here. I see the line. I know that I have that straight. Okay, with everything nicely lined up, I'm going to tape it all together. Okay, I'm going to cut off right along here, and this is my pattern for the everyday, the gathered skirt. Alright, now I've cut out our pattern pieces and I've taped them together. This is our skirt. We're going to cut 2 of these. These are our bloomers. We're going to cut 2 of these. These are our bodice pieces. Now, ladies and girls, we're going to cut 4 of each of these because this is going to be both our fabric and our lining pieces. Also for our sleeve, we're going to cut 4 pieces, and I'll show you why. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our pattern pieces and we're going to put them on our fabric. I want to point out to you that this is both the front and the back pattern piece right here. So for the front piece, you lay it on the fold. See, here is our fold. Way over here is our selvage. So we are laying it on the fold and we're going to pin it there in place. And we're going to take our doll bodice front and we're going to lay that also on the fold, and we're going to pin that in place. Now once we've cut these 2 pieces out, we're going to use these pattern pieces again. Since we need, and I told you we're going to cut, actually we're going to cut this out twice. We're going to come back then and we're going to use the bodice back and we're going to cut it out 2 times. And the reason for that is, remember, this material is now doubled. So we will come out at the end with cutting this out 2 times. We will come out with 4 pieces. I'm going to start with those. And what I do is just, remember, do not cut along this fold here. Go ahead and just cut right along here. Just right all the way around the edge. You're going to want to make sure that you have your arrow lined up with the material. See, both of our arrows are lined up with the length, the way that the material goes. It'll just help you to have the pattern straight. Okay, so now I've cut that out and I just move the pattern piece over and I'm going to pin it right back on here onto that material. Again, I've got my arrow going straight so I know that I'm not at an angle with my material or anything. Right on here, and I'll go right back and I'll cut it out. This time I'm going to cut along this line because this is the back. And I'm back to my bodice pieces again. Again, I place this on the fold. It says do not cut. I'm going to pin that back on. And I'm going to pin the back bodice piece back on, making sure my line is straight. Okay, again, we're going to cut 2 pieces of this. Now remember, our material is doubled, so that's what I mean. We have 2 pieces that are going to be cut out of this. And then we have our sleeve, and we have 2 pieces that we need to cut out actually we have 4 we need to cut out. I want to make that clear. I have 2 pieces that are going to be cut out here, then I'll move my pattern piece over and I'll cut another 2 out right here. Over here we don't have anything placed on a fold, so we're going to cut all the way around this pattern piece. Alright, I just cut this sleeve out. I'm going to move it over. I'm going to pin it on again. I'm going to cut it out one more time. The very first thing we're going to do is this nice little doll sleeve. And here we have our 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Now, one thing you need to do is take these and lay them right sides together. See this pretty side and you see the underneath side. We're going to lay those together just like that. We're going to come over here. We're going to do the same thing. So anytime you hear someone say lay right sides together, that's what they mean. The not so pretty side out and the pretty sides together, just like that. What we're going to do is we're going to sew a straight stitch right along here, all the way along here. And we're going to use a 1/4 inch seam. I'll show you what I mean by that. But first we're going to pin it in place. And pinning is going to keep your material from slipping all around. And let me be sure to tell you that when you're sewing, though, you're not going to sew over these pins because that's going to break your needle. So you're going to come up to them. As soon as you get to them, you're going to take those pins out. All right, here we are all set up to sew. Now, what I've done is I've taken this presser foot, this little lever back here, raises it and lowers it. And I've set my material so it's going to run right along the edge. It's going to be lined up right along with the edge of that presser foot. Now that's not exactly a 1/4 inch, but it's a great place for a beginner to keep their eye to see where your material is, okay? So that's what we're going to do today. Now, I have my presser foot down. I'm going to take the knob at the end here and I'm going to just put it down like this so that my needle goes down. The first thing I'm going to do is give a little burst and sew forward, go in reverse, and sew backwards, and then I'm going to go forward again. And I stop to take those pins out. Now you can go as slow as you need to go. Just make sure you have control of your fabric. And then I get to the end and I stop and I go in reverse and I go forward again, and that locks that stitch against me. All right, girls and ladies, now notice I have our material laying with the right side down, and here's the seam we just sewed. I have that opening that up, and I'm going to press that in place just like this. This is pressing. Just kind of rub it back and forth a little bit. You open that seam up. After doing that, I'm going to lay it together just like this. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to press that. These little doll dresses, when things are so small, this is a good way to create a nice sleeve. There we have it. Now we're going to go back and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other sleeve. Now we take our bodice pieces, and this is our bodice front. I'm going to show you. Remember, we cut that on the fold, so it looks like that. I'm going to open both of those up just like this, pretty side up. Our bodice back. Remember, we did not cut those on the fold. And remember, when I say right sides together, I mean the pretty sides together. We're going to come up here. Now, they're going to overlap right here. You're going to notice that, and that's okay. That's exactly what we want them to do there. Okay, we're going to come up here, and we are going to pin this in place. We're going to do a straight stitch right along here, right along here, right along here, and here, our shoulder seams. Okay, again, I'm going to start with our needle down. I'm going to sew forward. I'm going to reverse slightly, then I'm going to go forward again. I'm going to stop and go in reverse and go forward again. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm simply ironing over that, and then I'm going to turn it like this and open that seam up. This is a really good habit to do in all of your dressmaking, whether it's 18-inch doll or clothes for yourself. So open those seams up and iron them open. To show you our very next thing that we're going to do. We're going to lay right sides together just like this. And we are going to pin that in place right around our neckline here. Now what we're going to want to do is start right at these shoulder seams because we want to make sure those line up perfectly. That's an important spot. From there, we're going to line up our corners here. What we've done now, we're going to sew all the way around this. Just like this, up and around. In fact, I'll put a pin down here at these corners. All right, again, I'm starting with my needle down. I'm going to take a stitch or two forward and back up, and then I'm going to sew straight forward. Moving that pin, and I'm going to sew right up to about here. I'm going to stop with my needle down, but I'm going to raise that presser foot. I'm going to pivot the material just like this and then lower my presser foot again. Then I start sewing. That'll give you a really nice seam along there. Okay, and I'm coming up to another pivot. And I'll stop with, and I have maybe a 1/2 inch in there that I've stopped before the edge. And I raise the presser foot and I turn my material just like that, pivoting it. And I lower that presser foot again. That's going to give us a really nice corner. And at the very end of it all, I stop, reverse, and stop again. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back and I'm going to clip this corner off, but don't clip through the material, or I'm sorry, don't clip through the seam that we just stitched. Right here and right here, so that that's going to turn more easily for us. There and there. Then I'm going to come back, and you're going to want to do this for any dresses, big or small, that you make. Any places that have big curves like this, you'll need to come back and cut notches into it. Because when you turn it, it's going to allow the curve to turn nicely and to iron nicely in place for you. So any places where there are big curves, we're going to cut notches out. Be very careful not to cut through the seam that we just put in. If you do, you have to go back and you have to reinforce it. Sew it one more time. Okay, here we have it. I've cut the notches out of the corner here, and I've cut our